Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today to learn about the new PolicyMap platform, which we are very excited to be releasing later this month and are looking forward to giving you a peek into the new tools that the platform is going to provide to you. My name is Maggie McCullough, and I am the CEO and founder of PolicyMap. For those of you who do not know who PolicyMap is, we are a national online mapping service that provides maps and data visualization tools for tens of thousands of indicators from everything related to housing, health, demographics, and more. And as I mentioned, today we are ready to give you a look at that new platform that we've been building, and we would like to also provide you with the opportunity to ask any questions along the way. So you should feel free to, in the GoToWebinar interface, type in your questions. If we can get to them today, we will during the webinar, and if we can't, we will get back to you after. The webinar is also going to be recorded, so you'll receive an email with a copy of that video, and we will also be posting the video on PolicyMap.com. So there will be multiple opportunities to watch it again, share it with your colleagues, and so on. So what we would like to cover today are 5 ways that this new PolicyMap will make you a data and mapping pro. And when we think about what this new platform is going to allow you to do. So one of the key features that the new platform is going to allow is that you'll be able to dig deeper. And when we say dig deeper, we mean that this technology allows you the opportunity to zoom in further on the map so that you can see building footprints. You'll have the opportunity to work with parcel data, and you'll be able to map in 3D. The additional piece is that, and it's been one of our primary goals from the very beginning of creating PolicyMap, is that we really want you to be able to find and understand data quickly. And so with this new platform, we have added the ability for you to hover on maps and see values of the data that you're looking at. You can click on the map to see benchmarks and trends. Hover on the maps, click on the map to see benchmarks and trends. We've given you a bit more of a sophisticated way to edit ranges on a map by showing you where all that data sits in an area on the histogram. And we have kept much of the interface the same, as you'll see, but we've made our data menus easier to use. You won't be falling off, as people say. And we have a data search bar at the top, which I will show you as well. We've also heard from many of our users that they would like the ability to customize their maps. And so we're providing you with the ability to edit your base map as well as change the base map. We have a number of base map options from which you can choose when you're doing your work. When you put on an address level data set on the map, you'll see that you have the ability now to change the colors of those points, as well as the shape and size of the icon. And when you put boundaries like zip codes or census tracts on the map, so you can give your audience the ability to know spatially where they are, you'll now have the ability to change the width and colors of those boundaries. Also something new that we had not had before. There are new ways to make and edit custom regions, and you can conduct deeper analytics. So where in current PolicyMap, you have the ability to find areas that meet up to 3 criteria, in the new PolicyMap, you have the ability to go up to 5. So with that, we're going to get started. So I'm hoping everyone can see the screen. And what I'm showing you now is the new PolicyMap. And as I mentioned earlier, the interface is very similar to what you see now, but there are a lot of improvements within the application. The biggest one being the underlying mapping technology itself. So what we're giving to you with this is a very contemporary, very fluid mapping application. And one of the reasons that I mentioned that is so important is that we do have a lot of users who want the ability to drill down deeper than PolicyMap was able to go in the past. So this new technology allows you to go into 22 zoom levels. And just by way of comparison, on current PolicyMap, you can go into zoom 14. So I've taken the map to Philadelphia, and if I zoom in, and I know you can't see me, but I'm using my fingers on my surface to do the zooming in. As you zoom in, this is about zoom level 14 on current PolicyMap, and this is as far as you can go with the maps that you have access to now. But with the new PolicyMap, you can zoom in much further, and as you can see, you can start to see building footprints. And this gives us the capacity to be able to start mapping parcel level data. So some customers of ours have their own parcel level data, which we'll be able to load in, and they can use it in combination with all of the other data that we have in PolicyMap. And we're also looking at two potential relationships with parcel level data providers, where we could potentially license parcel data and make it available to you so that you could actually click on a parcel, see what's going on at that location in an area that's of interest to you. The map also allows you to go 3D, which is pretty interesting. And you can, I've taken the map to Philadelphia, so you can start to see the water, you can start to see, now I've gone to New Jersey. Let me go back to Philadelphia here. You can start to see kind of a different map view than the one that we've historically provided you once you are in this sort of 3D mode. And as you zoom in, you'll start to see those building footprints come back on. So let me get out of 3D mode, reset that, and take us back out to Philadelphia. And mention that there are a number of improvements or changes that you can make to the underlying map from the map settings that's here in the bottom right. You are able to, I'm going to log in, which I did not do previously. You are able to do things to this existing base map, like if you didn't want those building footprints on your map, you can take those off. You could also similarly take off road labels if you didn't want road labels on your map. It's all designed to help you to tell the story, to make the case in the most clear way that you can using maps. You can also take off roads or towns and villages names, and I'll put these back on for right now. You can, in addition, select from other base map options that we have. So this is a light base map, we have a terrain, and we have a satellite that will get loaded right before we launch. And you will be able to layer data on top of these maps. So I will take us back to the standard map, and I think we should start talking about data, because what we're trying to do here is provide for you the 40-some thousand indicators that we have in our platform on a much improved, more contemporary platform. So what I'm going to do is, we've gone back to Philadelphia. As you can see, all of the data sits within these menus at the top. They look very similar to the menus that you see now, but as I mentioned previously, they're much easier to maneuver. You don't fall off of them as much. And we have a data search bar at the top. So if I want to put median household income on, I don't have to hunt and peck to find out which data menu that indicator is in. I can type in income and click estimated median household income. So just like it does on current PolicyMap, you click on the indicator, it loads, you get a legend. It tells you in the legend that you're looking at the estimated median income of the household, and you have the ability to change the year, change the variable, and the legend is telling you here that the darkest purple places are places where the median household income is above $84,700. But the new feature that makes this so much more valuable is the hover. So as you hover around the map, you can see in the bubble the actual value, the actual median household income for that place. And it will just continue as you continue to hover around the map. So if, for example, I click now on an area, I am going to get, so this census tract has a median household income of $104,000. And we give you all of the values for the geographies in which that census tract sits. And that's similar to what we offer on PolicyMap now. But you can also click to see how this area has changed over time compared to those other geographies that were in that info bubble. So there's a lot of geographies here, and you may not care about many of them. So from this table, you could say, I want to see how census tract income has changed. Don't care so much about zip code, so I'm going to turn it off. Don't care so much about the district. I'll keep the city on. I don't need the county or the subdivision, metro, or the Camden-Wilmington metro. So now you can see you have a map that shows you the census tract and how it has changed, how its income has changed compared to the city of Philadelphia and the state of Pennsylvania. And so once you make a chart that's of interest to you, you can download that as a PNG to incorporate into your own work, or download the data as a CSV file. In addition, you can use this legend, as you know, to change the colors. You don't have to stick with the PolicyMap purple. You can pick something else, one of the other color ranges. And you can change the ranges, the cut points that you see on the map. And as I mentioned earlier, we now offer a histogram. So you can see where the data actually falls within these ranges. And you can then just easily adjust them by moving the sliders. And if you'll see, the map is refreshing as I move the sliders, so that in real time, you're able to determine which cut points make most sense for your work. In addition to adjusting the sliders, you can also click here and actually edit the value in the box. So this, we hope, is a much more intuitive way for people to think about how they make cut points on a map. And then lastly, with regard to this legend, you can decide right from the legend that you perhaps only want to show one cut point on the map. You can just click, or 2 cut points on the map, or 3 cut points on the map. You can show just those areas that you really want the people that you're presenting to or working with to understand, right? So those options are all available for you. So now, when it comes to address level data, or what we call point level data, you've always been able to add points on PolicyMap, and I'll use HUD multifamily as an example. So I click on that. The orange diamonds are each a HUD multifamily development, and when I hover over them, I can see the name of the development. And when I click on that development, I can get information about not just the name, but more information about the site, more information about the REACT scores, and so on. In addition, this is something that everyone has been asking for. You don't have to live with the orange diamonds that it defaulted to. You have the ability to change the color, you could change the size of the icon, and you could change the shape. So I've decided to make them large red circles because I think that they stand out better against the purple, or I think they're larger for the people that I want to be explaining my information to. You can, as always, load multiple point data sets on the map, and you can make each one its own color and its own shape and size. So if we think now about boundaries, this is the other area which you can now customize. If in boundaries, for example, you wanted to load zip codes, because zip codes are a way to help people sort of know where they are spatially, where we're sitting and looking at the map, the zip codes have loaded, and now I could say, you know, I would really like to see these, keep them as solid lines, but I would like them to be large. So the weight, the line weight changes, and I can change the color. So they default to black, but if you really wanted to have them default to change to red, you can make that happen as well. So again, these are over time, these are requests that we've had from our users about ways they really wanted to customize the map to make the map more of their own. And we've been unable to deliver these things because we were working on a platform that was really quite old. And so marrying our data warehouse with a very contemporary mapping platform like this should give you much more power and the ability to clearly tell your story. So one of the sort of hallmark features of PolicyMap has been custom regions. This is where you're able to draw on the map or aggregate a set of census tracts or other geographies to create a custom region so that you can really narrow in and target your work. So we've given you the ability to continue to do that. But the feature drawing, for example, on the map, it's a much more fluid drawing experience. So this is much more of a contemporary way of creating a region. You could also now add a second shape to your region if you wanted to. And these together could be your target areas. You can save them, give them a name, and call them up later. You can also, if you made a mistake while drawing them, you can click on them and change the shape. So you are able to do that on the fly. Similarly, if you save it and then you need to go back in and make any edits, you can do that as well. The custom regions, also a lot of customization, a large color palette from which to choose when you're making a custom region, and you can have something with no transparency to something that is fully shaded in, again, depending on the story that you're trying to tell. Any of the custom regions that you've previously made will appear in your View My Regions list. And from here, you could pull them up and edit them as well. So all of those custom regions are editable. And then lastly, but certainly not least, is a MultiLayer Maps. So MultiLayer Maps is an extension of our 3-layer maps, which is available in PolicyMap. And right now, 3-layer maps allows you to find areas that meet up to 3 conditions, 3 criteria that you set on the map. With MultiLayer Maps, you have the ability to go up to 5. So I'm going to take the map back to Philadelphia, and we're going to go into MultiLayer Map Mode. And you can see the data headings, the shading has changed to alert you to the fact that you're now in MultiLayer Map. So if, for example, I wanted to think again about that median household income, I can put median household income on 3-layer maps. And it has all shaded purple, and it will do that until I set the range that I just want to show, that I create the filter that I want to show on the map. So in this case, I'm going to say I just want to see those places where median household income is $35,000 or less. And the map reshades. And so I know that those purple places are just those places with median household income of $35,000 or less. And now I want to add a layer to this. And again, you can use these menus to explore and find the indicator that you're looking for, but you can also use the search data bar, which I find to be, it's faster. So I'm going to use an example, trying to keep things relevant this afternoon, and think about places where there are people living who have chronic conditions that potentially make them more vulnerable to the current pandemic that we're dealing with. And what the CDC has told us is that there are a number of chronic conditions that worry them, because people that have these chronic conditions, were they to get the virus, they're going to have a harder time fighting it off. So I'm going to look for diabetes. And here we have the estimated % of adults ever diagnosed with diabetes. And I'm going to add that to the map. And once that loads, I'm going to set a filter and say, I just want to see those places where more than 10% of people have diabetes. So you can see now fewer places are shaded. So this is the combo here is they make less than $35,000 and more than 10% of the population has diabetes. Another risk that we've been hearing about is asthma. And I can look at the estimated % of adults who are reported to have asthma. And as that loads, I can similarly think, I'd like to see maybe where 15%, that's a little high, maybe where 10% or more of people have asthma. So now these are all three conditions being met, and this is as far as you'd be able to go in current PolicyMap. But with the new platform, I can add on 2 more indicators. So we may want to see, for example, are these people living in medically underserved areas? Medically underserved area, meaning it's an area that does not have access to primary care doctors. And so if folks in these areas get sick, they are likely going to have to go to a hospital. So this is something that hospitals may need to be aware of. So here I'm going to click off not a medically underserved area. So I'm just looking at places that are designated as medically underserved areas. These are places, as I said, that do not have access to primary care doctors. And perhaps food, grocery store access, access to everything from food to cleaning supplies to vitamins to medicines. So we want to see where people are do not have good access to a full grocery store. And here I will click off not LSA. So as you can see, fewer places are on the map. But in terms of strategically thinking about places that may need a set of interventions in a time of crisis, these are places which are lower income, have higher rates where 2 chronic conditions are met, they're medically underserved, and they don't have great access to a full grocery store. So if we wanted to add hospitals, for example, we could do that. And again, we can change this to red and make these larger. And we could load grocery stores. And again, we could turn these into circles and keep them orange. So you can now zoom in and see in these areas where there's not a hospital nearby, and there are some supermarkets. And so thinking about, and if we filter this, by the way, so we're only looking at full service, we'll get rid of corner stores, the number really goes down drastically. So, as public health, thinking about how these hospitals are going to handle some of the patients coming from here, what kind of preventative actions could we be taking now to help make sure that these people are safe and cared for as things progress. Those are just some hypothetical examples of how you could use PolicyMap and this new tool to better understand these kinds of things. So with that, our demo is complete, and we are open to questions. The OR feature. So the OR feature is coming. We have not fully tested it. So I just switched over to OR, and as you can see, it gets a little confusing, right? There's a lot of hash, but these are now areas that are meeting any one of the criteria I set. So when we release this OR feature is going to say coming soon. It is pretty much done, but it needs more user testing so that we can make sure that visually people understand what they're looking at on a map. Yes, if I click on any of these areas, I can see, why this area has the certain hatch marks that it does. And I should have said that in the AND feature, the same thing happens. So if you click on an area, you can see why it met this criteria, what the median household income is, the percentage of people who have diabetes, the percentage of people that report that they have asthma. Yes, it's medically underserved. Yes, it's a low supermarket access area.
Somebody wants to know about the assembled custom region feature.
So the assembled custom region, what's that? Yeah, I can. So assembled custom region is right here. It is something that we have on PolicyMap right now. It allows you to assemble a group of geographies. So right now, because of the zoom level, it's defaulting to block group, but I could say I really want to assemble census tracts instead. So once you pick the geography that you want to assemble, all you need to do is click. So I'm going to say, this is a hotspot, this is a hotspot, right? So I can create this and save it. I can continue. I can give this custom region a name and save it. And then I'm able to go in. You can edit assembled custom regions. And once you're in edit mode, you see the ones that you've clicked. You can unclick and maybe click other ones. And the idea with the custom regions, as many of you probably know, is that once you create a custom region, you can run reports for that custom region. You can download data for that custom region. You can pull out a set of points for that custom region. In addition to having them serve as, a visual on the map, they're also a way to pull out a specific set of data from the platform.
A lot of really good questions. We have one that talks about when it's going to come out.
Yes. So we're going to release it at the end of this month. You are going to be able to toggle between current PolicyMap and new PolicyMap for a little while. So when you first log in, you'll go to current PolicyMap, and there will be a little toggle button up here that says dig deeper, explore the new PolicyMap. You'll be able to click on that, go into what I'm showing you now, and begin exploring. We're doing that for two reasons. One is, we have about 450 annual customers now who have gotten very accustomed to the way current PolicyMap works, and we don't want this to be too much of a shock. So this will give time for people to sort of transition to the new platform, and allowing them to toggle back and forth. And while the platform has been completely rebuilt, there are a few features which people expect in PolicyMap that we're still building. And so when you go into the new PolicyMap, for example, uploading data is not going to be ready right away. That's going to come later. So we're going to start releasing those things to the new platform. And then as that happens, the old platform will go away.
Question about the data description and data library?
Yes. So all of the data there's an eye icon in the legend. And so every time you put an indicator on the map, you'll see an eye icon. And when you click on that, it gives you a very detailed description of what this indicator is, the time period, if there was any data that we had to suppress, why, the source for the data, and then it has a link back to our data directory, which will give you everything you need to know about this piece of information, plus a link to the original source. So for every indicator that's on the map or in the platform, that's available. Yes, when you renew, the question is, when you renew, will you have access to the new version? And the answer is yes. You will log in and see the old version first, but then you will also have a link up here that says explore the new policy map, and you'll be able to go right into it.
The download function for either MultiLayer or just in general?
So the download function is another one that is being built right now. It is not going to be part of the release at the end of the month. So uploading data and downloading data are going to come after. But you will be able to always go back to current policy map to download data and upload data. So, right, so on the main maps page, you cannot have multiple layers. You can only use multiple layers in the multi-layer map section. Once we release the OR part, that's going to give you the ability to basically layer 2, 3, 4 layers of data.
Will existing saved maps convert to the new format?
So the question is, will existing saved maps convert to the new format? Yes, they will. Right, they will. They will. So the data uploader will not take parcel data at this time. We would need to load the parcel data for an area here. The data uploader right now only takes address level data. So if you had the address for each parcel, we could load it as dots on the map, but it would not have the parcel boundary. That's something that we'll load here. If any of you have widgets, also know that those will be updated later as well. That is still going to run off of current policy map. Those maps will still be the current policy maps for a little bit until we can update those as well. There's also a lot of new sort of hidden ways that, not hidden, we've tried to make really important features within PolicyMap easier to find. So for example, you know, I took the map to Philadelphia. Well, instead of having to go into the reports page from right here, I can just click and get the report that I'm interested in. The reports will be available. They're just not clickable for me right now, but that's a really easy way to get a very quick snapshot of a particular place. And so if I had a point on here, I could do a radius report right from the map. If I put in a zip code instead, I could do a report for that zip code right from the map as well. And if I had points on here, I'll just show you. So let's say I put what's on here, housing points, and I put HUD multifamily, and I put public housing, and I put low-income housing tax credits. Those points all show up here on the map, and then you would also be able to download a list of these points. All right from the map. The menus, you know, these are designed to be, you know, organized in a way that we try to make intuitive for people. And the submenus are much easier, as I mentioned, to navigate than they have been in the past. This was always an area where people struggled as they would fall off the maps. It's also, this new mapping is, it works on mobile, so you can use these maps on a mobile device. I would say a phone, the real estate of the screen on the phone is probably a little small, but they will work now. The old technology was built prior to the iPhone, and so it couldn't be used on a mobile device.
Just a lot of questions from users. They just want to make sure that anything they create in the old platform will be available.
So yes, initially, anything that you created in the old platform is still going to stay in the old platform, and then we're going to migrate it over to the new platform. I think the only thing that's going to be available when we release this are custom regions. So if you make custom regions in the old platform, they will all be available in the new platform. In both, yes, in both places. Everything will be in both, and slowly you're going to see more integration of your saved work into the new platform. I could, if you wanted to, as I know some people, there's a number of questions related to parcels. We do have parcels in here for New Orleans. So I can take the map to New Orleans, and in the boundary menu, that is where we'll see the, I need to zoom in a little bit further, see New Orleans parcels. And you'll see that they start to draw on the map. And there we go. As you hover over them, you get the address. Now, as we explore relationships with parcel vendors, we're going to see what it is that we can provide about a parcel. So we want to be able to show the parcel address, and then to be able to click on it and give you the information that we have about that parcel, the owner, the last sale price, all that sort of thing. And what's really valuable about having the parcel data in a platform like PolicyMap is that you can then, let's say, for example, we're in New Orleans after all, look at flood zones, and this is disaster declaration, and I'm going to pull it from the menu then. Disaster risk, FEMA disaster, not desperate, flood risk. Okay, so the map is now going to show me. So this is brand new data. It's from FEMA. The areas that are going to shade red are those areas that are at high risk of flood. Yellow is moderate and green is minimal. So as you can see the actual parcels that sit within these high flood zone areas. And again, you can turn these off to just see the red on the map. And zoom in. Flood zones will also be available in MultiLayer Maps so that you can look to see, I want to find places that are in a high flood zone risk, where there's a lot of families, and where the location of grocery stores are. So all of that can be done in MultiLayer Maps. Phil is looking at more questions for me. Okay. So in addition, so as I mentioned, we'll be releasing this later this month, and then over time, you're going to see additional features come into the new platform, at which point we'll be able to close off the old one. And the other very large benefit that moving to this platform provides us is that there are additional features that people have asked for that we've been unable to build. We are now on a platform upon which we can build. So we know that people want to be able to load data that's not address level data. They want to load zip code level data. They want to load, other geographic region data, county level data. We've been unable to provide that on the old platform. That's something that we can do in the new one. So there's going to be, the ability to share maps and embed these maps on websites is going to provide your users with a very fluid mapping experience, and one that they could actually use your maps on an iPad or other mobile device. The reports are all going to be similar to the ones that you have access to now: community profile, community health report, rental housing report. And there are just many places within the interface where you can generate a report without always having to go up to this button on the right. And I think that is the end of our questions. If anybody has any final one, we can take it now. I apologize for all of the technical difficulties that we had originally. Why PowerPoint decided to become such a problem and I was able to get the maps to work is beyond me. But I just want to thank everyone for your patience, for calling in and checking out the new platform. Know that you can reach us at any time with any questions, and we would be happy to get back to you. So we're going to run another one of these demos. Hopefully it will be a little bit smoother next week. And then if you have any interest in staying up to date on all things related to the new platform, you can go to our website, PolicyMap.com, and sign up for our newsletter. And thank you very much, everyone. Have a good afternoon. Be safe.